Welcome to Meeple Mentor. I'm Jared, and we are about to play The Hunger. Let's take a look. I'll show you how. Feel free to pause the video as needed to follow along with your copy of the game. My goal is this video can not only teach you to play, but can be shown at the game table to help set up and teach the game at your next game session. As part of that goal, I've added chapter timestamps in the description to the different sections of the tutorial to easily recap relevant rules for you. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell below the video so you don't miss any of my latest content. In Richard Garfield's The Hunger, vampires have awoken from their slumber as the eternal roses bloom. Players get to be vampires on the hunt for humans and run to the labyrinth to pick the most beautiful rose. Seduce familiars and increase your powers to get back to the safety of the castle before sunrise or you'll burst into flames. It's a deck building game with a race against time. Hunting humans will score you blood points, but clogs your deck and slows you down. Decisions you make during the game will change your personal deck of cards and affects your in-game powers and in-game score. Will you become the most notorious vampire or burn to ashes at sunrise? Let's take a look now at how to set up the game. To play the easy version of the game, which is more forgiving on players, use the rookie side of the game board, showing negative victory points in the mountain area path in the center of the board. The elder side of the board only has negative points showing in the graveyard and is the more difficult map. Take the castle tokens and place them on the castle with the highest value on top. Depending on the number of players, you'll have a different collection of values. Next to the game board, assemble the hunt track using the card rows. You'll need to have one more row than number of players, so 5 in a 4-player game. Place the moon token on the first space of the turn track at the top, which will keep track of the rounds. Take out the 3 rose cards and place them face up in the labyrinth space of the game board. Players can now choose which vampire and color they want to be. There's no gameplay difference unless you have the promo character cards. Pull out the 6 starting vampire cards for each vampire shown by their picture in the bottom left. Any unused vampire's cards should return to the game box. Each player should take their vampire character sheet, starting cards, vampire token, and score token. The score tokens should be placed at the bottom of the game board at 0. Shuffle the rest of the hunt cards together to form the deck, keeping it near the hunt track. Draw 3 cards off the top into a face-down pile on the tavern. Then draw 1 card from the deck to the first space of each row, filling up the entire first column. These should all be face up. Shuffle all the treasure bonus tokens face down and place 1 randomly at each treasure chest space found on the game board. I believe there's 11. Then flip over face up only the ones in this path that show the chests opened. Next, look at the graveyard mission tokens. Any marked with a 5 should go back into the box if not playing a 5 or 6 player game. Mix the rest together and draw 2 at random to go on the 2 public mission spaces. These should be ones with a beige background. If you draw a white or gold one, replace it and return it to the random mix. Each player should draw 2 random missions. Choose one to keep and discard the other to the game box without showing it. From the rest of the missions, create face-down stacks at the various crypt spaces on the game board. There's a number printed on each space that shows how many should be in the stack. 6 in the mountains, 5 in the plains, and 4 in the forest. Return the rest of the missions to the box. They won't be used. Each player should shuffle their 6-card deck and draw 3. Add up the speeds shown at the top left of these. The fastest vampire will go last. The slowest will go first. If there's a tie, the oldest player among them goes first. Place everyone's vampire tokens in a stack at the castle in turn order, with the slowest vampire on top. The first turns will go in that order. With that, you're set up and ready to play. The game plays in 15 rounds, with each player getting 1 turn per round. During these turns, players will use the speed values on their drawn cards to move and hunt. When hunting, players may spend speed points to hunt 1 space on the hunt track. The first two columns can only have one card in each space, but the third column can end up gaining multiple cards there. Spending one speed for one of these spaces gains you all the cards piled there. There's three basic kinds of cards you'll find in addition to the special rose cards at the labyrinth. Humans provide you blood points, as shown in the upper right of their cards. They don't typically provide speed points, and sometimes even have negative speed points. Hunting them will give you points, but they clog your deck and slow you down. Some humans have extra effects that hurt you in some way. Humans will belong to one of four categories, which can help with missions. Collecting the right ones will help you score your missions most effectively. Your starting cards are vampire cards, and it's possible to gain more vampire cards with more powers and speed added to your deck. These are green and can offer positive effects. Additionally, vampires can gain familiars with a purple background. Many of these come directly into play, ready and active. They are all permanents that stay out turn to turn to give you their benefit. They don't give blood points typically. The turn order each round is based on the position of players' tokens on the board. After the first turn, for which the order was already decided, the active vampire furthest from the castle goes first. After a player's turn, their token is flipped face down to note that they're done and are resting. For a more detailed description of the turn order, vampires in the forest play first, which is closest to the labyrinth, then the plains in this brown region, then mountains in the snow, and finally the cemetery just outside the castle. When deciding between multiple vampires in the same region, and it's unclear who is furthest from the castle, look at which path they're in. Vampires in the road go first, then the railroad path, then the boat path. Also, a vampire whose token is on top of another will play first. Players complete their full turn before the next player goes. On their turn, players must play each card in their hand in any order by putting it in their play area above their sheet. You may use an effect to discard a card before you resolve it. The speed points are added up among the played cards. You don't have to use all your speed, but movement must come first. Speed points can also be used to do a single hunt on your turn, but you may not move after your hunt. Unspent speed is lost at the end of your turn. A turn has 3 steps to it. First, activate your draw and discard effects. Then, calculate your speed and spend it to move your vampire and/or hunt a single time. Permanent cards already out in your playing area can also offer speed to your total. Board effects will happen on certain spaces after landing on them only at their final movement space. Then you'll end your turn by flipping your token to the resting side, discarding all cards from your playing area that aren't listed as permanent, and activate any end of turn effects. Lastly, draw 3 more cards from the top of your deck to prepare for your next turn. Whenever your deck is empty while trying to draw cards, shuffle the discard pile to make a new deck and continue drawing. The next player can then begin their turn. Once each player has had a turn, you'll prepare for the next round. First, move the moon token 1 space to the right on the round tracker. If it's already at 15, the game is over. Only vampires with a parasol token can play another turn without hunting. All vampire tokens get flipped to their active sides, and the cards on the hunt track all shift 1 space to the right. Cards in the third column get stacked together and create a pile of multiple cards. Refill column 1 of the track with new cards from the top of the main deck. You won't need to refill them at the end of turn 15, of course. Then add 1 face-down card to the tavern if there's less than 3 cards there and there's no vampire there. That resolves a full round. After resolving your discard and draw card effects at the start of your turn, you'll add up the speed points from your played cards and permanents sitting out. Using this total, you may move and/or hunt. Movement must come first if you choose to, but you're never forced to move unless a card's effect forces you to. Should your total be 0 or even negative, you cannot move. You don't trigger the effect or benefit of the space you stay on. You may use up to your total speed to move, or save some to hunt afterwards. Your vampire token can only move in one direction on your turn. When coming to an intersection, you can change paths. You just can't move forward and back on the same path. After moving, you should trigger the board effect of the space where you landed. If you land on a space with one or more vampires, you may choose to push them one at a time to an adjacent space. If there's multiple, start with moving the one at the top. The pushed vampires don't push, they'll just sit on top of any vampires already there. There are some special spaces found on the game board that offer bonuses or special effects when ending a move on them. The starting space and end goal is the castle. Vampires cannot perform a hunt here and cannot be pushed. When a vampire returns to the castle, they'll get to take the highest remaining victory point castle token and immediately score it. Once returned, vampires can't leave the castle. Additionally, vampires can't be pushed out of the castle. The cemetery makes up the first 3 spaces on the path outside the castle. Vampires can't be pushed from a cemetery space either. No humans can be hunted in the cemetery either. Only vampire cards and familiars can be hunted here. While on a ship space, vampires cannot hunt at all. While at the tavern, you can use your single hunt to take all the cards there for the cost of 2 speed. The cards can't be looked at until someone hunts and collects them. All the cards must be taken by the player who hunts them. Throughout the various paths, you'll see blue well spaces. When landing here, vampires get a free extra hunt that turn, but may only do the extra hunt on the 1 speed column of the hunt track. The final space at the end of the paths is the labyrinth. Vampires can hunt 1 rose of their choice from what's still available at no speed cost. Since it counts as a hunt, you may not hunt on the hunt track this turn. The treasure chest spaces may contain a bonus token on them. When ending your move here, you may take it to your character sheet and place it face up. Immediately score 2 points on the track for gaining the token. There's no limit to the number of bonus tokens you can collect. During any of your turns, you may use a bonus token as a free action. Trigger the effect and flip it over to show it's been used. All the effects of bonus tokens are described at the back of the rulebook. There are 4 special spaces on the board that allow vampires to digest humans, but only matching the shown type. There's the market, the church, mansion, and barracks. You can digest 1 human card of the matching type from your discard pile or playing area. It can be a human hunted this turn. There are many different crypt spaces around the board that attach to the missions set up at the beginning of the game. When landing on one, take all the available missions there to your hand and replace all but 1. You may exchange any of your existing mission tokens with ones from the stack and gaining 1 new one in total. It's pretty flexible. Ones you had previously can return to the game board this way each time you end up at a crypt. Players are generally allowed 1 hunt during their turn, except as just described regarding special board spaces. After moving, you may have extra speed points that can be used to do a hunt. In this 1 hunt, you can spend speed points to take a card or cards found in a single space of the hunt track. The cost is shown at the top. The first column is 3, the second 2, and final column 1. Spend the speed and gain all the cards from the space chosen and put them into your discard pile. Unspent speed is lost. Vampires can't move after hunting. When hunting a human, score their blood value as victory points immediately on the victory point track. Additionally, while hunting humans in the plains or forest, vampires gain bonus points. While in the plains, gain 1 extra point for each human hunted. While in the forest, gain 2 extra points per human hunted. The back of the rulebook goes over what the various card effects are as an index. There's also some icons found on the cards that are basically shorthand for the effect described on them. If you have a question on what a card's effect is, refer to the back of the rules and look up the icon or word. Keep a lookout for cards that provide extra points at the end of the game too. A game of the Hunger lasts 15 rounds every time. Once the moon token has moved to the 15th space of the round tracker, you are on the final turn of the game, Dawn. After everyone's final turn, the game ends. However, any vampire player who has collected a parasol token can play a final turn for movement, but may not hunt again. The umbrella protects them from the morning sun one last time. At this point, any vampires still in the plains or forest areas are burned to ashes by the sun. They can't win, they're dead. If you're playing the rookie mode, vampires won't immediately die in the mountains, and instead only lose victory points shown on the spaces that they're on. In Elder mode, which is considered the standard way to play, vampires in the mountains are burned to ashes. Vampires on one of the 3 cemetery spaces near the castle are safe, but must take cover in the nearest vault. This means they are alive, but lose 5 points from their score. Vampires who made it back to the castle are safe and don't lose any points. In fact, any vampire that makes it back gets to take a blood token if there are any left. They'll gain the most valuable one still there and score it on the victory point board immediately. Next, players will look through their collected hunt cards for any that have an end of the game effect. For example, the Serana card is worth 4 points if you also have Roxanne. Then, take a look at the 2 public missions shown on the board. Both will score and award points to players as described. Any missions that requires you to have more of a card type than other vampires, you must actually have more to score it. Tying won't score those missions. After the public missions, each player should reveal the missions they've collected from crypts throughout the game. These can each score according to their conditions, only for the player who collected it. Track all your victory points by moving your score marker on the track at the bottom of the board. When reaching 100 points, flip your token over to the 100 side and start over from 0. The vampire with the most victory points wins the game. If there's a tie, the vampire who returned to the castle first wins, or the one who got closest. Keep the rulebook handy and check BoardGameGeek.com for FAQs and extra content. The Meeple Mentor channel is now part of the board game community, the Gateway Network, made up of great upcoming board game content creators. The network includes Instagrammers, podcasters, YouTubers, artists, and much more. Head to thegatewaynetwork.com to support new and independent board gamers. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Like and subscribe if you found this teaching helpful. Stick around to watch another Learn to Play video. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.